we'll be talking about technology recovery strategies. Uh, on the consumer level, you would start first, let's say, with your software, documents, and files. And there's a lot of free backups already, such as Google Backup and Sync, iCloud, OneDrive. So now when we move on to like personal or enterprise level, let's say your Outlook email as a software, there are ways to create backups such as exporting, and you can import from where you exported it from. Also, because Outlook, you can also use the Outlook 365 and everything's synced up with the cloud. So even though, let's say, your computer goes down or your app had run some errors, basically you can retrieve files or your mails basically in the cloud. So you should be safe for that. Um, Also, let's say you have like a payroll system, right? If that goes down, that would definitely be a problem if you can't pay your employees on time. And the way you can avoid that is basically not only hosting your application in just one server, but maybe host that application in two servers. So in the event that this goes down, you can still have another server that can service your payroll application system. As far as for hardware though, like your computers or hardware device, in my experience, when working through like a lot of workstation, you would see at the bottom that the computer is basically connected to a universal power supply, or they call it UPS. So in the event of like a power interruption, it will then turn on and serve power to your computer. Again, it depends on what capacity you have. It's like a power bank that you can only maybe have like 4 hours, 6 hours of running time that you can use your hardware. Another way that you can say that if you have like a bunch of servers, right? You can basically create a I guess that calls for the data center. Let's say you have a bunch of servers in your server rooms. You can basically buy a redundant power supply in such a way that it basically acts that you have two power supplies. In the event of one fails, it basically switches one to over. Another technique that they use in server rooms is basically have each servers, and this server is plugged to this server, and this server is plugged to this server. When I say plug into, it means a server is also not only plugged to its own power outlet, it also is plugged into the power outlet of the other server rack in such a way that if one fails, it basically grabs the power from the other server rack. So it's called a daisy chaining. And I've seen like a very huge power supply in such a way that, let's say, the whole server room needs to be turned off for a while for maintenance. You would see a huge, like a redundant or UPS that's like a size of a big cabinet just to run. And one thing to note that even though for example, CDU or school, right? It stores data as well. The server room is maybe, maybe you could say just a, just the size of the 25 square feet bedroom, right? And you would think that with a lot of servers, a lot of computers there, it would really eat up a lot of power, but it's still higher. The consumption of a household would still be higher in terms of power, electricity. Also, in the server room, you not only have to think about computers hardware, you also have to think about the temperature, the climate. So you should also have a working knowledge of your HVAC and other areas that like the heat sink, where would you direct the cold or hot area. And also, if the server room is designed properly, you can even use the heat that's coming from the servers to basically direct it to heat, let's say, a building, right? Lastly, we have for networking. From what I've seen in the server room, in networking, you can just basically have network switches that you can stack in such a way when this doesn't receive or send data already, it would basically connect to the other network switch. Okay, so it's again, most of the backups is just basically cloud redundancy again, and everything needs like a power supply or another cable to be able to work. So again, those are just a few strategies, and there's a lot more. Go ahead and look for that.